So in our last session, we managed to check on a few things, and one of it was how to create a period, and we managed to create accounting calendar, and we submitted for compilation, but I'm not sure whether the system finished compiling, but we can check, or we'll check. Then after that, after creating the accounting calendar, we'll go and define our chart of account. So sign in as our user. So this will come on. So put it up there. And were you able to log in the instance as a user, the one that I shared, or you have a different instance you're practicing?
I've been working mostly on the demo instance, the Vision one. I haven't attempted to log into our instance.
I tend to believe it's the same. So we compiled our calendar, see how far it went. So view request find. So it's still running. I don't know why. I think the database has an issue, but ideally it should run and complete successfully. I think it's something I'll try to check tomorrow with our database administrator. But in this case, the idea is that we should have our calendar complete. And that, once we have our calendar complete, here, I can say done, although it's compiling. Probably I can query it for the purpose of your reference. So you may not be having any question here because you haven't gone through the last session recording.
No questions on my side.
So I think we also happen to discuss a few other things apart from the calendar. And those other things, it is in regards with chart of accounts. We discussed about how we define the chart of accounts, the application that we use, the feature that is key, counting key flex field. We define the structure name or the organization structure name. Then we discussed also segments and segments values. Among those, we say that the application, we just have to get to access to it because it's already in the system. Also, we talked about the accounting key flex field. There's also, we need to access it and select from the system. And then we talked about structure name. This one we need to define. Then we talked about the segments and segment values. And in our case, we agreed we will work with a number of like 6 segments. We'll have company, we'll have cost center, we'll have accounts, we'll have projects, future 1 and future 2. So in this regard, these are the segments that we will build. Okay. Already we managed to create the organization structure. Now the next thing is to go to segments and segments values. And before segments value, probably we will create value sets. Okay, it's something we call, we can insert here, value sets. So the navigation for defining segments. This is before you go to creation of value set. Navigation for creating segments is setup, financials, flex field, key segments. Okay, this is what I have done. Navigation setup, financials, flex fields, key segments. So once you are here, the window for key flex field segments will open. So the reason why we talk about flex field is because it's the title of the feature that we use to define the segment, to define the organization structure, and also overall to create the segments and segment value. So in this case, what you're supposed to do once you are here, you're supposed to, the automation by default, the system selects the application field. You can see there is the blink. Now what you're supposed to do is to click on find. The moment you click on find, you will be querying for the application and the title. So once you click on find, here you get the window to find the key flex field. Okay, the window to find the key flex field. So what you're supposed to do is to select or to query with the application name. You see we have the application, which is the one that the blinking was happening on this field. And also we have flex field title. This is the title name. So through the application, we know that we are using the general ledger application. Okay, so we will query or will provide the application name. In short, you can provide just general and click on find or enter in your keyboard. Once you click on that, you're supposed to get 3 general ledgers applications, but the titles are different. So the title that we are working with here, it's accounting flex field. You're supposed to go ahead and select it or say OK. As you click OK, the system will pop up or will query all the structures that has been created in these under this application and title. So in regard to all these are some which has been set there by Oracle itself for the purpose of learning and experimenting. And also there are some which are being used by people who are training, like the way we are training right now. So in this case, we are supposed to query. We created our structure name, and the reason why we call it structure name is because here under the lines, see there is a name structures. So the structure code versus the title is what we call the structure name. And here we provide the name of the organization that you're implementing for. So in this case, we managed to define our structure name. So if you come here and select any line, you select any line and click on the find icon, you can type any name that you think that you want to query. For instance, we defined our TAD structure name. If I provide percentage TAD percentage, then I click on, I press on my keyboard enter, you'll find it query the name itself specifically. So this is how we defined our structure name. Then after that, the next thing is that we are supposed to create segments, these segments under the structure name. So these segments are the ones that we are defining, and here they are. Okay. So what you're supposed to do is to go ahead and click segments. This is where segments is. Once you click on segments, the window for segment summary accounting flex field, that is specifically for TAD accounting flex. This is now the structure name. It opens. So it's upon you now to provide the segment names and columns. So what you're supposed to do, you start with the company. Number one. Here you say it's company. Okay. Then once you provide the name under the name field, you just tap. Once you tap, this is the information that will be copied. The same information under the name column will be copied under the window prompt. Window prompt, this is the information that will be showing the moment you query for this segment each and every time. So once you have provided that, you're supposed to go ahead and provide the column. Under the column, I said we have 1 up to 30 segments. 1 to 30. And minimum we have to create is 2 segments. And maximum we have to create is, we can create is 30 segments. But best practice is 9 segments maximum. 9 segments. So in our case, we have 6 segments, and this is what we will define. So the first segment here, this is where we usually provide the column for segment, and we have all the segment from number 1 up to 30. You can happen to check. It goes all the way to 30. This is the last one. Okay. So the first segment is what you're supposed to provide, and we provide it here for the purpose of chronological order. Then we come to the second Second is cost center or departments. You can call it cost center. Okay. This one we will give it number 2, segment number 2. So here you can either click on the list of value dots, or you can use Control L to open that select window. Then the third one is accounts. Accounts is number 3. Then the fourth one is projects. Then we have the fifth one, which is future one. And then we have the sixth one, which is future. So once this is done, we will save, and once we save, the system will compile the segments. So you go ahead and save. It has saved, it has compiled the segment and has deactivated the column for segments. So you cannot interchange these now. The way it is, it will live to be like this. So it's very, very much important when you're defining your chart of accounts. You be prepared very well. You take time and get to organize all these segments accordingly so that it cannot bring issues in future when you're defining or when you're starting to record transactions. So once this is done, we are supposed to assign value sets and also assign flex field qualifiers. We talked about flex field qualifiers for a long period. I think in the other training. Okay, I talked about the flex field qualifiers, but we usually assign. Okay, we assign. We have it here. Through creation of chart of accounts, this is where we will assign the flex field qualifiers to segments. So it's like a subtitle of this process. Okay, so here we can search and say assign flex field. After creation of value set, assign value sets to segments. This is like a sub process or sub process of this is is a sub-process of this. Okay. This is a sub-process of this as well, but this one is in relation to this one. We have to define this one segment. This one we are selecting. We are selecting. It's in the system. We are not defining. Okay, value set. We define. Then we select. Then segment value we define. Point of assigning segment values. Kind of a subset of creation of the chart of accounts. There are some processes under it. So in this case, we can start with value set, or we can start with flex field. So in this case, if I come to assigning the flex field qualifiers, I'm supposed to select the segment that I want to assign to. So in this case, if I select the name segment and I click on flex field qualifier, the system will know I want to assign any segment that I will be enable. Having selected the segment, any flex field qualifier that I will enable, it will be enabled to that segment that I've selected. So in this case, we will give the company segment the balancing segment. So you come here and click on, you enable, you click on this checkbox. Once you click on that checkbox, you go ahead and save. Okay. Once you save, you can close. Then you select the second one, which is cost center. If I click on cost center and click on flex field qualifiers, you can see there's nothing has been enabled. So under cost center, we have cost center segment, flex field qualifier. You come and select it. Then you save. Once that one is done, you can close the window. Then you go to accounts. And accounts, you click on flex field qualifiers. And we have natural accounts segment, flex field qualifier. You come and enable it and you save. Once you save, you can close this. To counter check, you can click on company segment and click on flex field qualifiers. And you can see balancing segment qualifier is enabled. Same case, you can counter check on cost center segment. You click on flex field qualifier and you see cost center segment flex field qualifier has been enabled. The last one we have enabled is accounts, and you can go to flex field qualifiers and the natural accounts segment flex field qualifier, it is enabled. So minimally, those are the segments that you have to enable or to assign flex field qualifiers with. The rest of the three other qualifiers depends on how you want to treat probably your reporting, probably your management of data, and the tracking. So all these we will have to discuss them when we get to another level. But for this case, just understand, like, you have to enable this, you have to assign these three to those first segments. Also, this one can be assigned to some of these segments, that is company, apart from company and accounts, there are some you can assign to cost centers for the purpose of, probably, for instance, if it's tracking, you might find there is one that is, you can go ahead and assign it to this segment. So you'll get to understand more when we are learning about reporting and all that. But in this case, just understand that the minimum that you are supposed to assign is these three, that is the company, cost center, and accounts. Is there any question?
No question.
So this defining is done. Then there is segments, we have created them. We have assigned flex fit qualified segment. Done. Now we need to define value sets. So while we are here, you don't have to select like any segment. You can just go ahead and click on value set. So on the value set, there are those information that based on how the system has been defined or has been designed, you just provide information for the purpose of control. So what happens here, you'll find you're supposed to provide the value set name. Here you usually provide company, or rather how the segment has been named. So you provide the value set name as the segment name. Then you come and select other information based on how you want them to appear. So basically it's for the purpose of validating how you will capture the value sets or the information that it's like for control purposes. Because the moment you assign this information to a certain segment, those standards that you have set, or those parameters, or those checkpoints that you have provided here, the system will check whether you are maintaining those conditions. If you don't maintain those conditions, and I'll show you how the system will deny. For instance, if I may open a notepad here. Assume you are creating a value set. Okay. Whereby you want to control maximum size. So you'll find that value cannot go the maximum, beyond the maximum character that you have defined here. If, for instance, you have said for company, you only want it to have 2 characters. So you provide 2. Okay. And these 2 characters, if you happen to come and try to create, these 2 characters will be looking like maybe 01, okay, or maybe 10, 10, or maybe 11, or maybe 12. So these are 2 characters, that is 0 and 1.